welcome to the One-armed Woodworker. I'm Andy King. In my last video you left me marking up an examination piece from an Australian school textbook. Making that piece in the exam, you were allowed 3.5 hours to complete the job. It took me over an hour just to mark it up. In this video we'll have a look and see how I got on with actually making it. So I was going to talk a little bit about my benchtop bench, mini bench, which was developed from a design that's in fine woodworking. I'll put the link up on the bottom of the screen for you. So it's got a great big vise that I happen to have lurking around on one end, and a smaller one on the side, and it's just clamped to the top of the bench when I want to use it. It has a number of holes drilled in the top so that I can put the bench holdfasts and various other things in there as I need them, and when I don't need it, it lives underneath the workbench, just in there. The problem of course is that vice on the end there is a hefty damn thing, and with one arm I've discovered very quickly that it's extremely difficult to lift up onto the bench, and I haven't yet tried to get it back down. That is going to be a bit of an adventure. So let's have a go at sawing with my left hand, which is not something I've done very much of, and let's get up as close to that line as we can. Give a little bit of room for wriggle. It's doing all right. Just see if I can ease this blade a bit with some beeswax from my own bees, which we used to keep years ago, don't anymore. Keeping my chisels and plane blades extremely sharp is very important now. With only the one hand to work with, I'm relying on the sharpness of the tools to do half the work for me. And so sharpening, I've got again this lovely Veritas set up. These are brilliant, these things. Two separate holding jigs, one for chisels like this one, another one for plain blades, anything a bit wider, and it will accept quite large blades, and two separate rollers, the one I'm using at the moment for flat sharpness like chisels, and then another one for a cambered finish like we occasionally like to see on plain blades. And this thing's really clever. You can set it so that every time you go in, your chisel gets exactly the same position. There's a handy little jig that fits on the end there, and that positions your blade exactly in the same place every time. Slides off again, and this little knurled knob on the side here, this one, at the moment it's set for the micro bevel, the secondary bevel on the chisel. Turned around to 12 o'clock it cuts the primary bevel, the first 30-degree one, but I just need to put a bit more of an edge on the secondary bevel, on the micro bevel, which is what I'll do. and I use Japanese waterstones for all my sharpening. I find them brilliant. So this will probably only need 4 or 5 swipes to put a little extra bit on it. Yeah, beginning to get a bit of a burr there, just a couple more. Yep, lovely. Take the end off. Just give it a bit of a go with the stropping. Just to polish it up finally. And take it out of the jig. And there we go. Of course, I can't demonstrate cutting my hair on my arm because I've only got the one arm to do it with, but believe me, that's pretty sharp. So I'm going to chisel out the waste from this halving joint now, having to use my body as the pushing mechanism, so rather less control over it than I would like to have. Good for your balance though. There you go, half from one side and then go back round to the other to finish it off. So this is how I'm going to cut the mortise, using one of my nice mortise chisels, but of course I can't hit it, so I'm going to have to do it by using my strength to try and dig in and try and keep the whole thing nice and square as I do so. Normally speaking, I think I'd probably make use of a drill or a router to dig this out, but I'm just trying to see what I can do with these hand tools for now. So talk amongst yourselves while I just get on with this for a minute. It's going to be a slow process, obviously. Now I've got the mortise deep enough to stand the chisel up in it, so I might have a go at bashing it a bit. It'll stand up on its own. That might just speed things up a wee bit. Make sure it's still nice and vertical, and obviously doing this, it's really important that the tools are good and sharp. Easy enough perhaps in softwood like this. I don't think I'd even try to do this in a piece of oak. So the last little bit of this exercise is doing a tiny bit of planing. I haven't tried out any of my planes yet. This is my one of my block planes, just to finish off the last few bits and pieces. Now, I've never used the block plane with my left hand in the past. It was always a right-handed job. So let's see how we get on. What's that little thing? Sorry about the squeaking. So working with one hand with the block plane seems to be feasible, even if it's the wrong hand. Try a bit more of that on there. Well, there we go. It's taken over 6 hours to make that piece. As I said at the beginning, 3.5 hours allowed were I doing it in an exam. I'm reasonably pleased with it, although there are some bits where it hasn't come out as well as I'd like it to. The dovetail joint, there's a rookie error there where I started cutting the housing for the tail rather than cutting the tail first and marking around it. Shouldn't have done that. And the bridle joint isn't all that pretty. What have I learnt from this? Well, I've learnt that my tools need to be really sharp, and even then the mortise chisel has crushed the fibres before it's actually cut, because I can't exert the pressure in the same way as I could where I am able to hit it with a mallet. What else? I know that my saw needs to be, and the plane as well, both need to be as friction free as possible. It makes life an awful lot easier, but that's the same, you know, if I had both arms, you'd still want to be doing that. So the other thing I've learnt, of course, is that I need as many different ways of holding things still as I possibly can find. So in the next video I will be looking at building a foot operated vise. I found a design on the internet from an American guy, so we'll see how I got on with that. So in the meantime, thank you for watching. Tune in again next time. Please do subscribe to my channel when you'll get notification of when the next one's available, and I hope you've enjoyed watching.